Hello, friends. Thank you for tuning in. And I would like to thank you again for all of the comments that you have submitted to my previous videos. My last video was on documentary about the history of the settlements in Judea and Samaria. And I got a whole load of comments from you, my viewers, and I really appreciate reading all of your comments. And please do continue to voice your opinion. Are you enjoying these videos? Do you have questions about what is said? Do you have suggestions about ideas that you would like me to be speaking about? So in my last video, I spoke about the documentary that was produced by Menorah Chazani, who grew up here in Alon Moreh, and she interviewed many of the leaders and founders of the settlements in Judea and Samaria. And I got a whole load of comments. One of them was from Michael Gano, who is a blogger and a podcaster who is a Christian, but he lives in Israel and he gives out chocolate to soldiers. He's a really great guy, and he sent me in some comments. This is what Michael had to say.
That was a good video you did. Very informative. Great introduction. But I know that my mother is probably my biggest critique because she's 78 years old, and she's like, Michael, you take too long to get to the point. Anyway, great stuff, David. I hope you're doing well. Let me ask you though. I do have a question. We're settled into using certain words like Palestinian, which I've never understood ever why the word Palestinian is used. My point in saying that is that why if this is your land, why do you call them settlements? Because I believe that term is something that I know that's a term that's been used for a long time, but you have a state, it's your land. How come they're not called something like new neighborhoods? I mean, it's been your land. It's never changed. It's always been your land. So explain to me the word settlement and why it's used. I'm very curious because I actually don't like the word. I think when someone says that lives in Judea and Samaria, that's always belonged to the Jews, what is in the mindset of that person? That's what I'm curious about, because obviously there's a lot of people that need to be educated about Israel. So the word settlement, like if I said new neighborhoods, I think everybody would understand that. Wow, this is a new neighborhood, even though it's been there for at least 20, 30 years. My point is, what does the word new settlement mean, or settlement mean? How do you define that?
So I really connect with what Michael is asking, and I deal with that all of the time, speaking with groups, bringing out, holding tours here in the Shamron, and speaking with international guests who might be elected officials or journalists or academics or people from government and clergy from the ministers from the church or pastors or rabbis or imams, people who come from all different places around the world. And I'm always dealing with the issue of terminology. What terms should we use? Because the terminology is politically vested. Whatever terms you pick to use, the terms are kind of expressing an opinion. And if we address the issue of Palestinians and settlements and West Bank, all of those, there's a whole political agenda behind those terms. Now, I would prefer using terms like Jewish towns and villages in the Heartland of Israel, and many refer to those as settlements. But because that term is used so much in the media, many people might be confused and not understand what I am referring to. I even had a case. I'll tell you a story. I had a young woman from America who contacted me through Facebook, and she said, "You seem to be an interesting guy. When I come to Israel next time, I'd like to interview you for the newspaper for the Jewish Federation in the community that I live in." So we made plans, and this young woman came to visit me in my home at Kfar Tapuach. We picked her up. She took the bus from Tel Aviv to Ariel, which is nearby, and we picked her up in Ariel. We brought her home. We're sitting and discussing issues around my dining room table for about 40 minutes. And then at some point she said, you keep saying Shamron, Shamron, Shamron. Does that have anything to do with the West Bank? And I realized that there are people who are educated, and she was, and are engaged in the Jewish community, and she is, and are Zionist and engaged with Israel and visit Israel and so forth. And they don't always connect the dots. They hear about the West Bank, and they hear about Judea and Samaria, and they don't realize that we're talking about the same thing. Now, I hope that my battery didn't die. I'm filming with my phone, and I heard a bling, so I hope it's just a warning and not actually turned off my phone, because I'm ranting on. In any case, I prefer using the terms Jewish towns and villages, Judea and Samaria, and Arabs who live here, and not use the word Palestinians. But in order to have a dialogue and speak with people who are familiar with those politically vested terms that reflect something that is opposite from my position, because the term settlement often infers that the Jewish people are new here, that they don't really belong here, that they're setting up a base beyond the boundaries of Israel. And I don't believe in that. I believe that this area, Judea and Samaria, is the heartland of Israel. This is the heart of the Bible. All of the events of the Bible occurred here in the Samaria and in Judea. So we can tour here we can open up the Bible and read the verses and pick out the places that are here right nearby. I was just reading the book of Samuel, the book of Judges yesterday in the first chapters, and it speaks about different areas that were conquered by Joshua and the Israelites when they entered the land 3,300 years ago. And all of those places are right around here in the Samaria. And I am here in my home in Kfar Tapuach in the Samaria. So the moral of the story is that I want to be clear and have a dialogue with people, not particularly preaching to the choir. I'm happy to speak with people who agree with my positions, but I also want to dialogue with people who have other positions, and I want them to understand what my position is. So for that reason, to bridge this conversation, I use alternate terminology. I'll also use terms like settlements to refer to these towns, just to make sure that people are clear about what I am speaking about. And back to you. I look forward to hearing your comments. Please write, share your thoughts in the comment section below here on the YouTube page. And if you have not yet, please subscribe to the channel and do share it with your friends. This is David Ha'ivri in Kfar Tapuach in the Shamron, hoping that you are enjoying these videos. Be well. Shalom.